I messed up. I had the comment on the screen during our intro.
The music was still there, so it's fine.
And apparently I can't count either. I was trying to do a cool countdown in the comments section, and I was doing like 3, 2, 1, 0. Only I typed 3, 3, 1, 0. So
that's all right. We're getting better as each day, each show. We get better and better.
Not having a good start to the show, that's for sure.
But the music intro always helps.
Welcome everyone to In Black and White. Sorry,
yes,
that's your job, Rick. I apologize.
Take it by all means. It's totally okay to take it, but I'm your host
all the time. You're better at this.
It's really not. It's a team effort, but we're hosting the show in Black and White. I'm your host, Rick Lockhart,
and I am Ethan Michael.
Yes, and he got it. And this is another episode of In Black and White. Thanks so much for joining us again. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. If you are watching this, make sure that if you're on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to our channel, like this video, share it on your platforms, and even click that little alarm button so that you can get alerts for when we go live. All of our shows airing on YFNA News. There's a lot of content here, so make sure that you're following us. And I believe Ethan's going to tell you about how to be a Patreon.
Oh, yeah. Link is in the description. There's 2 methods of, I totally wasn't ready for this, 2 methods if you'd like to contribute to the show. First, you can sign up for our Patreon, or you can click the Buy Us a Cup of Coffee link in the bottom. All proceeds are currently going to increasing the quality of the show and the guests. Unfortunately, those things eventually cost money. I'm learning that. All the flyers, all the stuff we do, gets expensive.
It does get expensive.
I will say, Rick, one of the best things that ever happened to me. I love doing this. Doing this with you.
Hey, you know what? This is all you. This is all, well, okay, it's a team effort. But here's the thing. If you click on that Buy a Coffee link, I do like my coffee black. So.
And I like it white.
I don't know how that works. That's just milk. Hey, Ethan, how you doing, buddy? How's your week?
Doing good. I've had a pretty good week so far. Been very busy with between my regular job and then this job.
Nice.
It's been good.
Nice.
How about you, my friend?
Man, it's still a week of waiting around for COVID to stop impacting my life and getting back to work. But, there's always some things going on and getting into so that we can talk about it here on In Black and White. Speaking of which, it's really hot in Chicago. It is really hot in Chicago. And with air conditioning even blasting, it's hot in Chicago, man. I don't know. You're south from me. I don't know if it's hot down there. I'm sure it's hotter down there than where we are.
It's like 91 degrees right now, but I actually love this heat. I didn't turn the air on until midday. Finally, I was like, all right, I'll turn the air on.
I am a fan of the heat. I will take the heat any day. Anyone who knows Chicago winter, Chicago cold is brutal. So I will not ever complain about the heat. I do enjoy the heat. I just wanted everybody to know it's hot in Chicago. So, and Uncle LL's / Madam Mayor Lori Lightfoot said, if you are coming from any of the impacted COVID states, you must quarantine for 14 days. So I'd advise you to keep your behind where you are in your states and don't come to Chicago kicking it. Hey, so still no update with Breonna Taylor, huh?
Not yet. But man, continue, please.
I'm just saying, still no update with Breonna Taylor. I don't know what it's really going to take before we can actually see some additional movement with this case. I don't know. I don't know if it's a Louisville thing. Notice how I said Louisville. For all of you all that might be representing Louisville, I just want to make sure I said it right.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Louisville, and that's exactly it. You have to say it like you have a mouthful of
Louisville.
Louisville is how you say it.
Louisville.
Just a mouthful of stuff.
Can I just say Louisville?
I mean, they wouldn't appreciate it, but sure, you can say Louisville, but it's Louisville. Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville. I'm not even going to try. Please continue.
We are still waiting on the police officers who murdered Breonna Taylor. One has been fired. I haven't seen any updates since then. We are waiting to hear about an arrest for these individuals, these murderers. So we're keeping tabs on it as best as we can. If you have any updates, please let us know. Breonna Taylor's killers are still out on the loose. Hey, did you hear about the situation we covered? Amy Cooper and Christian Cooper. You remember the bird watcher in Central Park and Amy Cooper / Karen who had the dog?
Charged?
She's being charged. The DA would like to press charges. However, unfortunately, it seems that Christian Cooper does not want to participate in those charges.
He's a good man.
I mean, sure. So my thing is this. Again, you pulled this stunt. You intentionally weaponized police, knowing that there would be a potential outcome that would be harmful to him. If the DA wants to bring charges, if Christian Cooper does not want to participate in helping out with presenting those charges, or the whatever it is, a prosecution of those charges, I still think the DA has a case. I still think the DA needs to make a case and proceed with those charges. I don't necessarily think they need to be like, she's already lost her job. She's banned from Central Park. Even while we're in quarantine, you can't even go outside. You banned from Central Park. But I do think that there still should be some type of liability criminally for, you were attempting to engage police. That takes them out of their routine of protecting and serving that they should be doing, right? So many things there. So I still think the DA should be cool with executing or presenting charges for Andy Cooper. But we'll follow that and see what happens, man.
Yeah. But in the meantime, I think we got to roll into this, man, because we have got so many questions.
There are a lot of questions for our show tonight. So for those of you, I don't know where you've been living under a rock, we've posted flyers for you to take a look at. Who do we have tonight, Ethan?
We have none other than Grumpy Old Dude, a.k.a. I'll just say Ed. Grumpy Old Dude, a.k.a. Ed. How you doing, man?
Jesus, Whippersnapper can't even get my name.
He did it. He did it. He got it in.
So I'm Ed Schofield, a.k.a. the Grumpy Old Dude, the only provable G.O.D. And I'm happy to be here.
Oh, got it. Took me a second. My Christian side almost came out.
I told you, Rick, I'm surrounding you with us, okay? I've got a long plan for you.
Hey, keep working. So my Christian side almost came out and I was like, Grumpy, God, wait, hold on. Wait, what? God is not white. We've talked about this so many times. No. Hey, Ed, thank you so much for joining us this evening on this show. As we're attacking white supremacy, having the conversations about white supremacy. And we appreciate you coming on and kind of sharing your experience. There seems to be a lot of questions that people have for you, man. And I'm sure you've been getting a lot of questions throughout your journey here. Why don't you share just a little bit before we get started with those questions, a little bit about your background, who you are, and how you got here.
Well, my name's Ed Schofield. I went to prison when I was 19 years old in New Jersey, and I spent a little over 12 and a half years behind bars. In that time, I was indoctrinated into a religious cult by the name of World Church of the Creator. They are a white supremacy group. They are a violent white supremacy group. I also started my own prison gang, state prison skinheads, along with a couple of other gentlemen. I call them gentlemen because they were personal friends of mine. They are both deceased, but we did start our own prison gang, a skinhead gang. And I spent 20 years being a white supremacist, and then slowly educated myself and de-radicalized myself and left that movement. Last year, my wife, Amber, who is in the chat, talked me into starting a YouTube channel, and it evolved into a channel that is mainly focused on fighting against hate groups and racism.
Nice.
That's a pretty amazing story. It really is, because it's amazing.
Hey, listen, I'm giving Amber all the credit for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, listen, Amber gets a lot of credit for that, because up until I met her 4 years ago, I did still have some of those ideas and ideologies. And she kind of pulled me all the way through and got me to where I'm at today. So she definitely gets a ton of credit for that.
Smart man.
I got to say, meeting people like you, when I do, makes me feel way less crazy, because I can't tell you how many people on a daily basis that just say, nope, nobody changes. Don't talk to them. You can't get through to them. Well, you know what? You're wrong, and the proof is right here on camera.
Yeah, and to focus on that for a minute, I'm getting in touch with a guy on Twitter I'm going to send him a link on Saturday, and we're going to talk about trying to get him out of the movement, because my story inspired him to think about changing. So it's possible.
You know,
Absolutely.
I think too, and with as Ethan mentioned, I think this is something that Ethan relishes in all the time, that people can change. There's such a drastic change that has taken place for you, and I'm sure Ethan can attest to, you know, his background and the things that he's been through as well. That I'm sure you get confronted daily with you can't change, you didn't change, you
Oh, yeah.
know, so on and so forth. I know you and I kind of talked a bit briefly before the show about how the left treats you versus how the right treats you, and it just seems like, you know, you can't win. I'm wondering though, you know, what made you decide to change your ideology?
Education, mostly. Looking at things like evolution and genetics and actual history, and not the propaganda that, you know, supremacist groups throw out there. That played a big part in it.
You know, I can assume that it had to be a very difficult change for you, though, because you spent so long, you know, in that mindset and in that environment and in that world, alongside of, as we've talked about on our show, a system that's designed for white supremacy. So I'm wondering, kind of, what actions did you have to take? You know, what do you still struggle with when it comes to some of those maybe ideologies that go along with white supremacy, that, you know, maybe you still find yourself attacking or fighting to this day?
I don't really find any within myself that I'm fighting. I am still learning, and one thing that I ask people is, if I say something that sounds like I'm still being racist, explain it to me. Don't immediately get angry and say, "Oh, see, you're still a Nazi." Tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me, you know, that, you know, what I'm actually getting wrong and what things actually mean. I just had to explain to another former white supremacist just a few days ago what BLM actually means compared to all lives matter. And I gave him that your house is on fire analogy. And I saw that split second where he looked away and went, "Ah, I got it." And he understood now why Black Lives Matter is so important and not all lives matter is less important.
Ed is out here explaining Black Lives Matter to people. I just, you know what? Wrap it up. The show's over. That's all I needed. Thanks so much, Ed.
My point to that is, this man just left the white supremacy movement a little over a year ago. He's trying. He wants to be an ally. He wants to learn. He wants to do good things. So if he does come out and say, "Well, I don't understand. How come all lives don't matter?" Don't jump on him. Don't tell him, "Oh, you're a racist and, you know, whatever else, a fascist or whatever." Explain it to him. Make him understand. You know, don't jump straight to anger. Everybody needs to just chill out and talk. And I hear a lot of people saying, "Well, white people need to listen." Everybody needs to listen, because if you listen, you might understand that not everybody else understands what you do. And you have to talk to them. You have to explain it to them and come together to a mutual understanding.
You know, Ed, go ahead, Ethan.
So, quickly jumping back a little bit, what would you say? Like, was it nature versus nurture? What got you to becoming a white supremacist specifically? Like, was there particular propaganda? Did something happen to you? Like, what is it that set off the chain of events to get you thinking like that?
Racism directed towards me by groups like Nation of Islam, 5% Nation of Gods and Earths, Black Hebrew Israelites. Those were big groups in the New Jersey prison system, telling me, you know, "You're nothing but a savage white devil, you know, your race needs to die," so on and so forth. And then I had these people from Church of Creator come and tell us, hey, we heard you're an atheist. Well, so are we. We don't believe in God or gods, and we believe Christianity is a Jewish manufactured religion to bring down the white man. Let us talk to you about it. And it became a slow progression over a couple of years where they indoctrinated me into this new religion that they had founded. And I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker for a long time.
And wait, they were atheists?
Yes, World Church of Creator, or as they're known now, the Creativity Alliance, is an anomaly in the atheist community. They do not believe in God or gods. They do not believe in hell or heaven, demons or devils, none of that. But they do believe that their race is their religion.
How do you feel about that, Ethan?
I gotta say, I'm kind of really shocked right now. It just perplexes me because on many occasions, not all, when you become an atheist, it sets off a chain of events that, in my opinion, in many occasions, leads to secular humanism. And I just find it odd because normally I don't want to get religious. So you know what? I'm sorry. I am not continuing with this. This is not the show for that. So
right. And let me point this out to anyone who might be watching this now or in the future. Atheism is not a religion.
Thank you.
It's true.
Or a worldview.
Yes.
Hey, and so I guess for me, I think let's talk a little bit about this. So you are kind of under attack in a sense, or get it from both sides.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what your world looks like now, between how you're treated from one side versus the other. I'm just curious so people can get an idea of what that looks like for you.
So the far right, which I used to belong to, white supremacist movement, whatever you want to call it, they view me as a race traitor, and I have had countless death threats from them. Yeah, I am no longer wanted in white supremacy, and people on the far left view me as a Nazi scumbag who deserves to die. So everybody wants me dead.
Right. Well, because you wouldn't have been able to do the show, so thanks for surviving. I think it's important to note, a point that you made a moment ago about people who are transforming, who are leaving white supremacy and white supremacy groups and really trying to learn and understand. I think it's important to note that your point about people should just listen. I've always encouraged, and I say this time and time again, that when we're having the conversations about racism, people who are kind of in that transition phase should be aware of who they're asking the questions to. It's one thing if, in the event, you may say something that's racist, and I can confront you about it because I may be the type of person to say, "Yo, Ed, let's talk that through." But not everybody has that understanding because you have an entire race of people that are literally tired from all of the talking and marching and shouting and crying and praying that have been done. So I think that it's important to note that in having those conversations, it's important to identify who you're having those conversations with, and if there's an ability to even go any further, because it's exhausting, right? It's emotionally exhausting to have to continuously engage in conversations of why Black lives actually matter.
Yeah. And same goes for if you're talking to someone in the white supremacy movement. I've become fond of saying, approach a Nazi with care, because some of them don't want to hear it. They can be very violent. They don't want to hear what you have to say. So I guess the best way to go about it is, like you said, be careful who you're asking questions to. Be careful who you're asking questions of.
Well, I don't plan on approaching Nazis at all. But you did mention something. Hey, have at it. And only on this show so that they can't come and find me. Now, it's cool.
Well, Rick, you would be a good candidate to approach somebody in Black Hebrew Israelites and ask them, why do you have these racist beliefs about white people or anybody who's not a person of color? Where do you get that from?
I have some suspicions, but I would gladly invite them either on our show or on the 13% that airs on YFNA News every Monday night here on YFNA News at 7 o'clock.
So what would you say is the best thing? Like, for example, let's say I find out my neighbor is a white supremacist. My neighbor's not. Say I found it out.
Give that disclaimer just in case people have.
What is the best way to start the conversation? Now, obviously, I know every situation is different, but what are some red flags or things I should avoid?
I don't necessarily think you should really avoid anything to start a conversation, but your best starting question would be, why do you feel that way? And see what they say, because you might be surprised at some of the answers you get. Myself, for example, I gravitated towards this white supremacist group and movement because of people being racist towards me. I didn't grow up like this. My parents weren't racist. Nobody in my family is racist. I have 5 different aunts on both sides of my family who were in interracial marriages and had children. So I didn't grow up around this. This was something that happened when I went to prison and had to face racism one-on-one. So just ask, why do you feel that way?
So was it a response to, like, for instance, were you ever, like, would you fear for your safety?
No. Yeah, let me clarify that. I'm the guy that people needed protecting from. I know that makes me sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I have 3 different black belts, and I used to hurt people because I liked it. So, yeah.
Duly noted.
Yeah. I went to jail for an involuntary homicide because somebody pulled the knife on me, and I bent his arm back and stuck it in his neck. So I'm not the guy that was looking for protection. People used to come to me to seek protection. And that was one of the reasons why I could help start my own prison gang, is because I had that background and I knew those connections.
Right.
A lot of guys do join up, just for, safety and numbers reasons. And most of those people, when they do get out, they automatically leave, white supremacy behind. So if you see guys with, prison tattoos, like swastikas or whatever, and you can tell a prison tattoo from a real tattoo. If you see that, ask them if they still feel that way. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you, nah, man, I was just doing that because I was in prison.
And does that really happen often?
Yeah.
Approach at your own risk. I'm good. So you got out and decided that this wasn't it for you, that group was only for while you were in. Is that correct?
Well, no, I got out in 2004, and I'm kind of a history buff, and a lot of the historical stuff that the creativity movement was trying to push, it doesn't fly, and I don't like being lied to. So once I realized that their history was off, I started looking into different science stuff that they were trying to push. And I realized that, well, their science is absolutely screwed. It's all pseudoscience that they kind of manufactured on their own. And again, I don't like being lied to. So I was like, you know what? I left Catholicism because that was, in my opinion, bogus. And now I'm done with this religion too, and I'm just going to be an atheist from here on out. But like I said, I did hold on to a lot of those racist ideas and ideologies of being a skinhead. And that took a long time to get over. And, I don't want to make excuses, but I think a lot of that did have to do with what I went through in prison and the things I saw and heard and the way I was treated. So it took me a while. And one of the biggest people to enter my life was a black man who had served in the military with my father. And we started working together, and we were talking one day, and I finally came out and told him that I was a skinhead. And he just looked at me like, I had 3 heads or something. And he was like, what? Why? And I did not have an answer for the why. My answer was, I don't know. And that was it. That was my road to redemption right then and there. I was like, why? And I had to start looking deep into myself and figuring things out. And now here we are.
Hey, and I'm wondering, since your experience really kind of took place, it sounds like mostly while you were in prison.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you have done, if you're looking to do any type of program that you would go back into the prison system and educate, try to find support systems for Black people being oppressed in prison as well. Would that be something, or is that something that you've decided to engage in on this change and transformation?
Yeah, I'm currently working with Beyond Barriers. I'm just in the beginning stages. Beyond Barriers is a nonprofit organization set up by Jeff Scoop, who is the former commander of the National Socialist Movement. And he is also now a former. He's worked very close with Dia Khan. She helped de-radicalize him, and now he's on pretty much the same mission I am, to get people out of these supremacy groups, either white supremacy, black supremacy, jihadists, whatever. It doesn't matter. We want to de-radicalize everybody, and hopefully he's going to get me into some speaking engagements, either inside of prison or out, but yeah, I'm definitely looking into doing stuff like that, trying to work on some prison reform and see if we can't figure out a way to get guys in prison to sit down and start talking this stuff out instead of just having all this violence.
Hey, I want to address real quick a question that Omari La Negra asked on one of our streams. She asked, what did you find to be scientifically inaccurate?
The evolution and genetics. Creativity movement tries to push this doctrine that white people are a separate species from every other race, as every other race is its own species. White people are actually the only humans on the planet. Black people are Cro-Magnons. Asian people are Neanderthals, and so on and so forth. None of that is accurate at all. Everybody on this planet, regardless of ethnicity, is a human being.
Gotcha.
Here's what always confused me about like white supremacists. So if for a second, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, just because I genuinely want to get an understanding about that noise. Let's say for a split second that they were right and we were 2 separate species. Why the hate? Like, for example, if they can still recognize that people have emotions and people feel pain, why be angry at them? Like, if they're not treating dogs and animals like that, why would they treat another human like that?
Because they don't view them as humans.
As human.
They are beasts of burden.
And that's the thing too, when it comes to the way that the system of white supremacy was designed, as we look at the systemic racism that takes place in the white supremacist system that we're currently in, the system was designed to view anyone other than white as not or less than human.
Yeah.
There is no relevance to value. There is no equivalence, to value. there is no value that's really provided other than something that may be of animalistic type of culture or nature. So it's unfortunate. And Ed, please help me out here with this. Having had that mindset, and it sounds like you didn't have that going in. You were engaged in that while you were inside, and then you got out and worked towards kind of, as you mentioned, de-radicalizing yourself from that. How long did it really take for you to, or did you ever really engulf those ideologies? Did you ever really come to grips and actually fully believe that these other individuals, these other races, were less than human or weren't equal to yourself? What was that like?
Yeah, I never really fully adopted that notion. One of my best friends, I'm not going to say his real name. I'm sure some people might look him up if they want. His street name was OG No Good. He was a member of the Bloods street gang. And Rick, he would make you look white. This man was dark, and he was one of my best friends.
It's the summertime, Ed. I'm getting dark.
Yeah.
As my pastor's here watching, Dr. L. Bernard Jackson really talks about how in the summertime he gets dark, and I'm light skinned. I'm really not. I'm actually in the summertime pretty dark, but nevertheless, continue.
Me and No Good still remain friends even through all this. He just kind of laughed at me and told me I was being a dumbass. And every time we would, sit and talk, just us, I would have to go back and either, deal with the consequences from having, a 4-on-1, which is 4 guys coming at me at once, or, they would come up with some kind of, scheme to make me spend money on, furthering the church and their ideas. And I did it. I sacrificed that stuff because that was my boy, and I was not going to walk away from him.
Yeah. Now, Ed, if I told you that the comment of complexion feeds into racist behavior, what would you say to that?
It can. I hear a lot of people say that, oh, I got a black friend, and they're really, really black. And it's like, look, man, don't do that. You make yourself sound stupid, first of all. And second of all, it doesn't matter what their skin tone is. Yeah.
The conversation of colorism in our communities, in several communities of color, is a plague that I've said time and time again is an extension of racist behavior. And I think that that's something that's very important to highlight when we talk about racism and the effect that it's had on several communities. That indoctrination has bled into colorism within several communities of color globally.
Yeah, and I've actually witnessed that in prison. Like, I saw the ranking system where some of these members in different groups were, like, well, you're not really black enough, so we got to test you harder. And I was baffled by that. Like, what? Like, you grew up in the same neighborhood, in the same building. How can you say you're not black enough? Like, you're either black or you're not. I don't understand that.
Well, again, in a system that's designed to not even really consider people of color, that wouldn't be your world. That wouldn't be something that you would have to understand.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to hopefully find, as you continue on, is what you're, and I've seen some of your work so far, but continue to watch the things that you are doing to break those racist actions and engagements that even continue on. I mean, I would advise you to get involved with 2 black people fighting about complexion.
No.
Alone.
No. Nope.
However, I definitely want to continue seeing that movement from you.
My biggest fear, Rick, is that this broadcast would be the one where your camera would stop working, and then we have 2 white people talking about,
Hey, Ethan, let's not even put it out there right now, bro. I've been having issues with my Wi-Fi all day. All right, this is going good. Leave a good thing alone.
All right, shutting up now.
Hey, Ed, before our, if I can, real quick.
Can I address what Ethan just said, though?
Yeah, sure.
What's wrong with two white people addressing racism?
Thank you, Ed.
Okay. Yes, I agree with it.
But it is a running joke between us.
Value at times, people will be like, we'll get mad at you. I'm not even going further with this. I think you guys know where I'm going.
It is a thing.
I've already lost friends over that because I went on a stream that was all white people talking about race in America. And someone took offense to that. Here's the thing. I'm white. It's my job to put other white people in their place and educate them. So if you're going to be mad about that, you're the problem.
Agreed.
That's my opinion.
Hey,
Sounds a good fit for a white troublemaker.
I was just going to say, Kendra Brielle, if you are watching, you got another candidate for white troublemaker right there. Listen, I can pack this up. You two can have this conversation for the rest of the show. I could just go ahead and sign off so my computer doesn't freeze. Hey, Ed, real quick, if I can ask just before we talked about something prior to the show that I wanted to highlight very quickly. You mentioned there was a difference for people who may not know between white supremacists and the Klan.
Yes.
Yeah, Ethan, this is when you walked away and came back. There you go. Congratulations.
There is somewhat of a difference. Yes, the Klan has been very, very violent in their history. They have done a lot of very cruel things. Not sure how far I can go with explaining that, but I'm sure everybody knows. White supremacists are a little bit different than the Klan, who are white separatists. White supremacists want to eradicate anybody who's not white. A lot of white separatists still want to try and bring slavery back. White supremacists don't want slavery. They want everybody who is not dead to be deceased. They are extremely violent. They may not be as big in numbers as the Klan, but they are growing, and they are a major threat, not only to this country, but to this world. And I've said it time and time again, they need to be viewed as a terrorist organization, especially the creativity movement.
Good to know.
A question from the audience, coming from Kendra. Am I wasting, I'm sorry, I'm speaking for her. Am I wasting my time in talking to these people? Is there something I should avoid saying or doing? Obviously, something got to him, so help me reach them. Okay.
Again, I would start off by asking why they have these views. Why do they feel this way? And don't ask them, why do you think this way? Ask them, why do you feel this way? Because a lot of them, it's not that they're thinking it, they believe it. This is their life. And when I walked away from that movement, I gave up my life. I gave up friends. I gave up money. I gave up everything to get out of this movement. So be patient. And like I said, just listen, and that goes for any extremist group, whether they're a black extremist group or a white extremist group, Latino, whatever. Listen to what they say and see if you can't answer, see if you can't answer how they feel. Because I'm sure Rick can tell you, anybody who is a person of color is going to feel downtrodden in this country. And you have to figure out what you can do to tell them not all white people are your enemies. There are some of us that are allies. And there are a lot of us that are still learning, and a lot of us that need to learn. They want to be allies, but they don't really know how. So it's kind of your job to help them along and teach them how to be just a good human person and an ally.
Yeah, Kendra's down there in the South, so she has her work cut out for her, unfortunately.
I believe she's in the Bible Belt.
what probably is definitely called the Bible Belt. Hey, if I could throw this question in from Dr. L. Bernard Jakes. He wanted to ask it if there's a difference between white supremacists who are beneath the poverty line and those who are middle class or extremely wealthy.
Ooh,
Yes,
that's a really good question.
Hey, Ethan, I'm inviting you to the church when we open back up, just so you know that's my pastor there. But please continue. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's a great question. Believe it or not, a lot of white supremacists that are below the poverty line can actually relate better to people of color. They feel like this country has just turned their back on them and kicked them in the dirt. And they have this mindset that it's not a mindset. It's an indoctrination and a propaganda that's pushed on them that this is all caused by the Jewish cabal. And our government is run by a Jewish occupied government. And they need to fight back against that if they are ever going to have their rights as Americans. That is something we need to, educate people on. The middle class, a lot of them, I have to be honest and say a lot of them hate just for the simple fact that they want to hate. And the upper class, they just want power. It's all about power. They're leading a cult, and that's what most of these groups are. They're cults. And I don't know how we fight back against, the people with the uber rich that have all that power, because I don't have squat. I'm sitting on an old ass chair that I pulled out of the garbage trying to do these videos. I don't have any money. I'm sitting in my attic with homemade stuff up on my wall. So
you're doing better. I have nothing on my wall. There's nothing on mine. So
well, luckily I got some artistic talent to make all this stuff. Fighting back against the uber rich, get out and vote. That's the only thing I can tell you. Get out and vote.
Wow.
Make a difference.
So I do have a question from the audience, and I do not want to spend much time on this because I don't want this to get too political. But one wants to know if you think, based on your experience in history, do you think Donald Trump is racist?
Oh, no doubt. I have tried many, many times to put up a video comparing him to Adolf. I have found over 30 comparisons of him and Adolf. YouTube will not let me put it on.
I kind of want to push back on that one. I think that's
Ed, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take this. Go ahead.
No, let's stay away from it. I just
we'll make that on a different show.
Yeah, we'll make that on a different show.
Because it sounds like Ed and I have the same vantage point and perception.
I don't. You guys both know how much I dislike the man, but I would never, ever compare him to that.
I'm sorry. I was talking about the racist part. The Adolf Hitler part, maybe that's sure. But
I'll send you some info, and you might change your mind.
Okay, so what?
Moving on.
What
wow.
thing you regret most, if you're comfortable saying?
What? Say it again.
All right. What was the thing you regret most during your time as a white supremacist, whether it be an action, a thought, anything?
I would have to say acts of violence I did that could have been avoided. I trained myself. Well, I didn't train myself, but I had a lot of training in martial arts, and I would use that. And I feel like I disrespected the people that taught me. So, yeah, the acts of violence that I committed, and some of them were very, very horrendous. I have a video on Patreon talking about where I sliced a guy's tattoo off his arm and slapped it on his forehead.
So have you been taking anger management classes, Ed?
Actually, I got thrown out of anger management when I was in Rahway State Prison.
And Rahway is like, I mean, you got thrown out of anger management in Rahway. That's wow. So, so I guess the next question following that naturally would be, you had this anger, you had this ability to be aggressive. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And I was the first part of this question, was that anger directed towards individuals because of this indoctrination or your belief there within white supremacy?
Some of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that you're in this transformation, you're learning and you're working, sounds like, on that aggression. What are you doing to help change that mindset to keep from that aggression in any form against anyone? I'm just curious, out of curiosity, what are some of the things that's working for you? Is it the learning of racist behavior and how to be anti-racist, and that is that what's keeping you from engaging in some of that activity?
Yeah, learning about it and doing what I do on my channel, making those videos debunking this. And when I have a thought and I start focusing on that, and I'm like, all right, how am I wrong? And then I'll go ahead and get an idea for a video, and I'll tell other people how that's wrong. Talking to people like a lot of the people in the chat, Cynthia McDonald, she's a hero. Like, that girl's got it going. Talking to her, Robert Reed, people like you two, just getting out and talking, and not getting out. Wear a mask if you're going to go out.
The grumpy old dude even has the patience to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Man, you are so invited back to the show, man.
This platform here, social media, getting on live streams, making videos, and just talking about these issues actually helps me to keep that under wraps and be a better person.
Yeah, I've said it repeatedly to my therapist that this is actually a great method of therapy to talk through all of this.
And
I actually heard that. Oh, sorry, Ed, please.
The biggest thing for me is my wife. She's pulled me back from the edge a couple of times in the past few months. It's been tough, but I got her, and she keeps me going.
Hey, shout out to Amber again. Just wanted to throw that shout out one more time.
Major shout out to Amber. Keep it in check.
Keep him in line. Exactly.
I don't think I could kick his ass, so it's up to you.
I don't plan on it.
Come on. I'm not that big.
Yeah, how many different forms of martial art?
3 different forms of martial arts and boxing.
Yeah,
got me big.
I'm not engaging at all. We're gonna talk this through, and we're going to talk all of this through. But definitely shout out to. Is Amber Black at all? Just out of curiosity.
No. She's. I hope she doesn't get mad, but like Heinz 57, she's Irish and Dutch and all kinds of other stuff, German, and I don't know.
In the background. Heinz 57 is how you describe that mixture. Ed.
She's a mix of all kinds of stuff.
Hey, hats off to you in that marriage. Whatever works.
So actually, Ed, maybe you can comment on this too. I'll offer some comments on this. Martial arts, in my opinion, has been great for anger management. It helped me for many years. And if anything, I learned how important using fighting as a last resort was, because I learned the damage I can do when attacking someone. And I found that as I progressed and in my later years of adulthood, I had if people started shoving me, I wouldn't be as quick to go into the attack. I would literally just back away, and I would try and talk them down out of the situation. Or at times, specifically outside of my parents' bar one time when I got attacked by these 2 dudes, I was able to maneuver them out of the way and onto the ground, and I immediately backed off. So in my opinion, people should be learning martial arts, because not only does it teach you to defend yourself, in my opinion, it teaches you to be better at threat assessment, because you'll quickly learn what is an actual physical threat and what is someone just trying to make a lot of noise. And you'll also, at least through my sensei, learn how to talk people down off of a ledge more efficiently.
And see, that was the issue I had in prison, because there ain't no talking in prison. You're either going to do something or you're going to be a punk.
Note to self: stay out of prison. Hey, did you see the comment by from Richard Graves? Hats off to and shout out to Cynthia McDonald, one of the co-hosts of the 13%, along with Richard Graves, and the shout out that you gave her. She's also co-hosting the 13% here on YFNA News on Mondays at 7 p.m. Make sure to check them out. You know, Ed, I'm glad to know that you've made this and are embarking or have embarked on this transformation. I'm wondering what this looks like. Like, is there a group? Is there, you know, how often are you coming across people that are just ready to leave that mindset and be better people? What does it look like to you? And, you know, I guess is there a 1-800 number people can call to help them work through those ideologies? Like, how do we get people on the same path?
We
man?
need an 800 number for this shit.
Yeah,
I mean, right. Get you an 800 number.
Call this 800 number now.
Or maybe a 900 number for yourself so that you can get some income from this. But
the biggest one I will push right now is Beyond Barriers with Jeff Scoop. They do have a YouTube channel. He does have a website under that name, beyondbarriers.org. They're doing a lot of good work. And like I said, I just recently got contacted on Twitter by someone who I'm going to be talking to Saturday, and hopefully see if we can't, you know, give him a better idea on, you know, how to be a better person. And if for anybody out there, you know, watching this now, watching this in the future, if you are involved in that, if you have anybody that you know that's involved in supremacist groups or are thinking about supremacist groups, contact me. Go to the About section of my YouTube channel. All my links are there. Get in touch with me, and I will see if I can intervene and, you know, give as much help as I can.
And also the link to his YouTube channel and Twitter are in the description of the video if you'd like to see more from him. No. Oh, no. I just friggin' closed my questions and it wasn't saved. And I had one last question left. I am utterly failing today. Crap.
well, you know, the thing is, there's I'm still kind of going through the questions that have been posted on your post, but I think what I'd also like to, and if you can share with us too, I think the question that stood out for me most, and you probably have said it already, but I just wondering again, would you say Black Lives Matter?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, right now, with the way this country is, and Black lives have mattered for a very, very long time. This issue should have been settled before I was ever born, and I'm pushing 50.
Right.
You know, I'm pretty sure anybody that's in the chat here understands what Black Lives is, but in case you don't, Black Lives Matter because Black lives are the ones in danger right now. You know, white people don't have that kind of fear. For the most part, you do have those rare occasions. I'm one of those people that every time I walk out my door, the cops are watching me. But that's because of my background and my history. So you do have those very rare instances that white people can relate to Black Lives Matter. But as a whole, Black people are in jeopardy right now, and we need to change that. If this country is going to ever truly be free, we all need to be free.
Yeah, well, listen, I have no more questions. Ed has just wrapped up the whole show for me.
Was that representation?
Ed, listen, I just, you know, I've said this before, and I don't know if we've gotten a chance to talk, or Ethan, when he reached out to you, got a chance to go over the show, the premise of the show. But for those that are watching, you know, we talk about this often. in Black and White was started because the conversation of racism needed to start happening amongst white people. White people had to talk about the white supremacist systems that are there and attacking it and being able to aggressively be anti-racist. So with that said,
Little whippersnapper.
I don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So with that said, I think that it's great to hear your passion behind and understanding behind where we are as Black Americans and what needs to happen or take place from white Americans, where that conversation needs to happen and how it needs to happen. I'm wondering what that's been like for you. You know, how often are you getting backlash for, you know, whether in your community or, you know, on your social media platform? Like, is this something that you just have to run into every day? Welcome to being Black in America.
Yeah, I get it, you know, all the time. I just had, you know, a big, long, drawn out thing with some guy on Twitter who told me, well, if you still support Nazis, you're a Nazi. And I'm like, nobody's supporting Nazis. If that's your only argument, then you need to take a look at your own racism. Yeah. Like,
hey, yeah. Kendra, by the way, asked if there were any white supremacists in prison that needed a pen pal. She just wants to talk. So just throw it out there.
Oh my God. That is a great idea.
Leave it to Kendra to come up with great ideas for anti-racist behavior for white people. I mean,
what do you think?
That might be a good idea.
There you go.
I'm gonna think about that.
Well, again, I think it goes back to those opportunities that you take to engage in people who are in prison, right? And those mindsets and ideologies that unfortunately they succumb to.
The only thing is I don't want them to have my return address, so no thank you.
What's the matter? You scared about your brown eye? Not the one that winks, but the one that stinks.
And I wasn't prepared for that. And thank you for catching us both off guard here on live stream.
He was a pretty young boy too.
Oh, don't do this, Ed. Don't do this.
Please no.
Ed, please don't do this.
No.
Let's move along, because who I know is not prepared for that is Ethan. That's just.
Oh, I can guarantee he's not prepared for Bubba.
Hey, Ethan, call Ed. You'll have protection. All right. Oh God. All right. Well, this goes along to the interracial adult movies that
I was just going to say. Is it true around the rumors that white supremacists typically watch more interracial pornography?
No, I can't confirm that.
Ed, we know that you don't speak for all white supremacists here. We get that, but
yeah.
Now you have to remember
former white supremacists.
Yeah, I was in this movement, you know, in prison, and you know, I told these two before the show, if we had caught somebody looking at, you know, interracial porn mags, or even, you know, all black girls porn mag or whatever, there would have been an issue. Like, that would not have been acceptable. So yeah, I can't confirm that.
So are you starting chapters of former white supremacists? just nationally, some chapters. Let us know. We can get you in contact with some people. I'm sorry, Ethan, go ahead.
So a question from the audience. Have you ever considered writing a book?
I've thought about it. Yeah, I might still do that someday. I don't know yet. I'm not a very good writer. I'm better at just speaking than I am at writing. So I don't know yet.
And are you still into MMA or martial arts?
Not really. I don't go to a gym or anything like that. I haven't done a kata in way too long. I'm old. I hurt. I've broken my back a couple of times. I've broke my neck a couple of times. I've broken almost every bone in my body. I hurt. So
hey, you know, Ed, Oh, sorry, Ethan, go ahead.
Yeah, my last question has just escaped my mind. Do you like? What is it what would you say you're currently doing to make up for what you had done in the past?
Mainly, putting videos out on my channel, trying to make a positive change and trying to educate people. Getting on social media, because I've tested positive for COVID once, and it knocked me down hard. So I don't get out of the house a whole lot at this point. Hopefully that'll change, but I'm not taking any chances. I had it once. I don't want to get it again. So I am, trying to be very proactive on social media, doing a lot of live streams, putting out my own videos, and telling people what these groups are really about and what their ideologies and beliefs are, and debunking them, so I can hopefully get someone, even if they think, I'm a race traitor or whatever, if I can plant that idea that they might be wrong, then maybe they'll start thinking about it and realize how wrong they really are.
Hey, Ed, I'm curious, with the gang that you were able to start, that you started while you were in, have any of the people that, you kind of initiated in, how many, I guess, of those people have you brought out of that mindset or been able to reach to get them to this point that you're at?
Unfortunately, none. When I did reach out to them and start trying to bring them out, I was told, thanks for writing, because now we have your address. And they never acted on it. They sent a lot of death threats. As far as I know, nobody that I ever brought into SPS, ever came out. If they did it on their own without me. Most of those people just cut off all ties with me as soon as I stepped out of it.
That's sad to hear. I'm sorry that you weren't able to reach any of them. Maybe, at times as they continue to live. Maybe you should send them pictures of you and black people hanging out, having a good time, pre-COVID, not post-COVID, but pre-COVID. Maybe that'll change their minds if it's actually really fun to hang out with black people.
Yeah, that one was hard, because some of those people were actual friends of mine, lifelong friends, and it's just we're done now.
Well, congratulations on making that move. So Ethan, do we have? Well, before looks like Dr. Elbernard Jakes had one more question before we wrap up. If I could sink that in here, because it's for both. Yeah, for both Ethan and Ed. Do you believe the level of hatred offered by white supremacists is a mental illness?
Mental illness? No.
No.
Just lack of education.
Ignorance.
And I think the reason for that is, when you have that much hate, when you get to that level of hate, there could be some chemical imbalances there, right? There could be something off to have that much hatred. So from your perception, do you think it might be a mental illness?
No, from my perception, it's guys wanting to, be recognized. They want to belong, and they know the more hateful they are and the more violent they are, the more people are going to recognize them and put them on a pedestal.
Makes sense. Well, any final thoughts? Looks like we've got to our time here. Anything you want to share to the audience and wrap up with?
Can everybody see this little symbol down here, this H inside the circle?
No. And maybe if I put on my glasses as I get a little older here, but
okay, this stands for all colors but no colors. We are one human race. There's only one race on this planet, and that's the human race. We are all human beings, and we need to start acting like it.
Fair enough. And just to be clear, what he's not saying, everyone, is that all lives matter. That's not what he's saying. We've covered this. If you didn't see this earlier in the show, go ahead and watch it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what gender you are. None of that matters. Be human.
As we are still dealing with this patriarchal society that we live in.
Yeah.
As well. And I'm learning this as I do this anti-racism work. I'm uncovering all of these nuances of superior societies that have come into play here. So, hey, Ed, listen, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you being on and sharing your story. How can, again, real quick, I know that we put the YouTube link in the post, but for those that are watching, how can people find you on YouTube?
I am the grumpy old dude. So you look me up on there. You can look up Grumpy Old Dude 8 on Twitter. You can look me up. I have a page and a public group on Facebook under Grumpy Old Dude.
And there it is behind you too, as God spelled out as Grumpy Old Dude. I'm not doing this again with you. Hey,
well, after all, there is only one provable God.
Hey Ed, hang on for us for a minute. We'll wrap up with you here in just a second. Don't disconnect. Everyone, we want to thank you, Ethan. What do you think, man? That was a great show. That was a great conversation.
It was, except until I made a joke that I noticed several people dropped off. So I guess when tackling these tougher topics, tackling. Let me try that again. When tackling these tougher topics,
it's sometimes.
Dude, I'm broken today. I am clearly broken. My audio is messed up. The dog burst in the door. There's music blaring out there, and I apparently can't speak. So I apologize. I know it looks like I'm unprepared, but apparently I'm just broken right now.
It's really not a thing. You put a lot of work into producing these shows, Ethan Michael.
These tougher topics.
There you go.
Maybe I shouldn't insert a joke, but I try and do it to lighten the mood, to get everyone to relax more, because to me, these are tough things to talk about. And at times when people are listening, they put up emotional barriers. And the best way to get through those emotional barriers is laughter.
You know, I do the same thing, Ethan. I think that's probably why we're able to gel on this and collaborate so well on the show, because those tough conversations, guys, that need to be had, you know, they get sticky, they get deep, they get uncomfortable. That's very true. And we need to have them. But sometimes a little laughter helps get through some of those conversations. That's just our way of engaging in these discussions. Ethan, any final words before we wrap up?
Yeah. Everybody can change. And I'm not necessarily recommending my approach for everyone else to do it, but for me, I am going to continue my best to remain patient with what we would consider the opposition, because to me, education, patience, and a little compassion goes a long way. It's so easy to fight fire with fire. And to me, instinctually, that's what we want to do. We want to lash back specifically against bad ideas. But at times, I'm not recommending this for everyone, and I'm not saying what you have to do. I'm just speaking to myself and what I'm going to do. If you're a little bit more compassionate to your fellow human being, I think you can get through to them.
That's almost very Christian of you, Ethan.
Don't start.
Everyone,
that's very humanist of me.
Tomato. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. Make sure you tune in on to YFNA News on YouTube on Monday night to catch our sibling show, The 13%, hosted by Cynthia McDonald and Richard Graves, as they'll continue the conversation, I believe, about around institutional and systemic racism. They'll be targeting that in their conversation. And again, thank you so much for spending your Thursday night with us again, here with us, and we'll see you next week.
And thank you to our patrons, top patrons, Best Name Ever, and Marsha Ortega. Much appreciated. And if you want to become a patron, click the link in the description. You can enroll for just as little as $1 a month, which is going to help us to continue to improve the quality of the show, improve the quality of the guests. Maybe next time we'll get someone a little less grumpy.
I don't think it was that grumpy.
No, he wasn't that
grumpy. I didn't even have to be on the show. You and him could have had this conversation and been just fine, because he definitely had viewpoints that I'm glad to hear from someone white. Not that, you know, again, another person, that's another white person, because more white people have to have these views. Hey, listen, let's get out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. And I don't remember what our ending tagline is.
Oh, Best Name came up with it, and now I totally forgot what it was. It has to do with the whole in black and white and Best Name. Quick, put our clothes in the comments as quick as possible, please. It was great, like, because the way Rick and I worded it was like, that might not be taken the best way, and the way she worded it was really good. Although now I'm putting her on the spot. I don't know if this is later, but make sure you like and subscribe. You click that notification bell. Oh, there we go. There it is.
Yes, that's what it was.
Wait. And then also make sure you follow us on Twitter. I don't know what Rick Lockhart's Twitter handle is, but mine is on the screen right there. YFN Atheist.
And mine is just Rick Lockhart, Roman numeral 2. That's 2 I's at the end for those of you that don't know Roman numerals. Rick Lockhart, Roman numeral 2, all together. That's at Rick Lockhart 2.
All right, you ready for the closer?
Get it.
I'll do the first line, you do the second line.
Sounds good.
As long as there is racism to fight,
there will be black and white.